Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins with Shaker, who is riding the Dion 40, taking it with great respect to save his beloved. Indeed, he gets there, fights off Bruce Lee's guards, breaks their bones, and confronts Bruce Lee, burying him in the wall and saving his beloved. But Bruce Lee doesn't die. He says, "Do you think the war is over? Face me." But suddenly, his voice turns into alarm, and out of nowhere, Pratik wakes up from the dream to the loud voice of the school teacher saying, "Wake up!" She tells him, "Won't you stop hallucinating about your father? It seems your father is the hero of your life." Shaker is someone who loves helping people but ends up harming others unintentionally. He goes inside to find the company's manager holding a meeting, saying, "This department has designed 2 games before, and both failed miserably. If the next game fails, I'll shut this department down completely and turn it into a restaurant. You must create a game that shakes the world." Later, he goes home and hears a very loud sound. He calls his son, Pratik, asking, "What is that noise?" Sonia says, "Come on, dinner is ready." They sit down for dinner, and she asks him, "Tell us a bit about your new game." He says, "It'll be a great game. Its hero will be strong, different this time, as powerful as 10 heroes combined." Pratik responds, "I hate heroes. They're boring and always win. Villains, on the other hand, have no rules or laws. Winning is all that matters to them." Shaker is surprised and says, "If villains always won, this world wouldn't have lasted." Pratik dismisses him and leaves. The next day, Shaker goes to Pratik's school and tells him, "Don't be upset. I'll make the villain in the new game 10 times stronger than the hero. But you need to understand that evil is a very bad thing. If evil always prevailed, there wouldn't be schools for you to study in or friends to spend time with." As Pratik walks away, he breaks a classmate's bike and embarrasses him in front of others. As usual, Shaker goes to work and tells his colleagues, "In the new game, we'll make the villain much stronger than the hero." They ask, "How?" He replies, "Because villains are cool." They start working on the project, and after much effort, the game is ready. They invent a robotic suit that allows the wearer to control the character. The game features 2 characters, the villain, named Ra.One, and the hero, named G1. Shaker wears the suit to test it and finds Ra.One laughing at him. He's surprised and asks, "Who added Ra.One's laugh?" Jenny says, "No one added anything." He brushes it off, thinking it's just the program updating itself. Finally, the project is completed, and Shaker explains to his colleagues the characters of Ra.One and G1. He says, "The heart is the core part of each character. Without it, their power is almost non-existent. But when the heart is installed in them, their power increases significantly. The heart is like a hard drive in a computer. Let's assume neither character has their hard drive installed. In that case, they cannot die or be harmed, no matter what happens, because their bodies are not made of metal, but tiny cubes that reassemble themselves." Jenny asks, "So how will one of them win?" He replies, "If we install the hard drive, they can die. But they can only die in one way. The game has 3 stages, and in the 3rd stage, each character has a weapon with a single bullet. The one who shoots the other's heart while it's installed will win, and the other character will die." Everyone is impressed and applauds him. He leaves to pick up his son from school. On their way home, a thug stops them, saying, "Hand over everything you've got." Pratik tells his father, "Don't give him anything, Dad. We can fight him." Shaker gives him everything he have, including his jacket. Pratik says, "See how scared he was and ran away?" Shaker replies, "You're truly coward." Shaker feels hurt as Pratik walks away. The next day, Akashi tests the character Ra.One, but suddenly Ra.One takes control of him and breaks a glass. Akashi quickly removes the suit, startled by the moment, but he brushes it off. Finally, the game is completely ready for release, and the launch day arrives. They showcase Ra.One, the villain character, who possesses the strength of 10 villains combined. He can change his appearance using artificial intelligence, survive challenges, and knows no defeat. Finally, it's time to introduce the game's hero, G.One. Pratik is thrilled when he sees G1 because he looks exactly like his father. Shaker is happy because his son is proud of him. G1, like any hero, is programmed to fight evil. However, he's very weak and relies more on his intelligence. His strength increases based on the skill of the person controlling him. If the player is skilled, they can defeat Ra.One, who has the strength of 10 villains and is nearly invincible. Akashi wears the suit to play as G.One. The game begins, and Ra.One proves to be very powerful, defeating G1 effortlessly. Akashi is shocked because he feels the hits G1 takes. He wants to tell Shaker, but Shaker is busy. Akashi says, "I want to play." No one can refuse him, so they take him to the lab. He asks, "What name will you play under?" He replies, "I'll play as Lucifer." The game begins, and Ra.One takes him down easily. However, Akashi manages to win. The round begins skillfully. The second round starts. He also tickles his face and wins the round effortlessly. The third and decisive round begins. The one with the weapon of death. It's time to play. But Akashi says to him, "How did you win 2 rounds in a row? No one has ever won, not even once. Anyway, let's go because the party has started." Ra.One is extremely angry. He says, "Come back, Lucifer. Ra.One doesn't like losing. Come back, and I'll destroy your world and finish it off." Akashi is shocked by Ra.One's words. He runs to Shekhar and tells him, "There are strange things happening in the programming room." Shekhar goes to his son before leaving. He gives him this rose. He takes it and heads to the lab. He tells Akashi, "You'll go to the programming room, and I'll go to the devices room." Akashi leaves and stands in front of Ra.One's suit, thanking him because he was the reason his son gave him this rose. He places the rose in his hand and leaves. He enters the devices room and tries to disconnect Ra.One, but he can't. He's shocked to find that Ra.One has disappeared from the screen, and the rose is what appeared. At that moment, Ra.One begins to emerge from the game. He starts assembling himself in the control suit in the lab. He breaks out of the box he's in, and Shekhar runs to join him, only to find that the suit has also disappeared. At that moment, Ra.One goes to Akashi, touches his hand, and becomes a copy of him. He enters him, leaving Akashi in utter amazement. He says to him, "Are you Lucifer?" He replies, "No, I'm not Lucifer." Then he kills him. Shekhar goes out to get help because the situation has spiraled out of control, but Ra.One catches up to him and says, "You're Lucifer." At that moment, he realizes his son entered the game under the name Lucifer because he loves the name Lucifer. He says, "Yes, I am Lucifer." He looks at the name printed on the company's shirt and finds it changed. He says, "You're lying to me. You know I hate liars." He slams him into the car, and indeed, he slams him into the car again, and he doesn't get up this time. The police call Sonia and tell her that her husband died in an accident. She goes there with Pratik, and they can't believe what happened. They live through the worst times of their lives. However, Pratik doesn't believe his father died in an accident. He decides to find out who caused his father's death. Meanwhile, Ra.One continues searching for Lucifer, who is actually Pratik. Later, Pratik is on his way to school and stops at the place where his father died. Ra.One continues searching for Lucifer, who is actually Pratik. Later, Pratik is on his way to school and stops at the place where his father died. He looks at the ground and is shocked because he knows it's Ra.One's doing. He rushes home and tells his mother, "My father didn't die in an accident. Ra.One came out of the game and killed him." She says, "Are you crazy? Your father died in an accident. Forget about this entirely. We're leaving here and going back to India." He leaves her and goes to Jeannie, telling her what happened. They both go to the lab and confirm 1,000,000% that Ra.One came out of the game and killed Shekhar. Pratik calls Akashi, whose identity Ra.One stole after killing him, and tells him to come. He indeed identifies his location and rushes to him. At that time, Sonia calls him and asks, "Where are you? We're supposed to go to the airport." "Yui," he says, "I've confirmed my suspicions. Ra.One killed my father." She asks, "What are you doing, and where are you now?" He replies, "We're at the company." She says, "I'm coming right away." At that moment, he looks up and finds Akashi dead and hanging. He realizes that Ra.One, disguised as Akashi, was the one who called him. They try to stop him with programs, but they fail. He tells Jeannie, "Wait, since Ra.One came out of the game to harm me, we can surely bring out G1 to stop him." They quickly work to bring out G1, but there's a system error. Jeannie says, "There's no use in what we're doing. You should run because Ra.One is coming for you. He won't harm me." As he's leaving, he remembers G1's heart. He takes the heart and installs it in G1, but nothing changes. At that moment, his mother arrives and takes him in the car, but Ra.One is behind them. He takes the heart and installs it in G1, but nothing changes. At that moment, his mother arrives and takes him in the car, but Ra.One is behind them. He says to her, "Drive fast, Mom." She asks, "What's going on?" He replies, "I'll tell you later, just drive." And she does. Ra.One keeps chasing them, not leaving them alone. They try various ways to stop him, but they fail. Even when they manage to delay him for a bit, it doesn't work. At that moment, Sonia finds herself facing a bus. She drives through it and comes out unscathed. Anyway, they reach the airport, and the superhero friend G1 intercepts the car. They throw many cars, but Ra.One is much stronger. He knocks him to the ground. He uses his intelligence, takes him to the gas barrels, and completely dismantles him. From amidst the chaos, he takes his heart and leaves him. He goes to Pratik, who is shocked to see him. He thinks he's his father. They enter the airport. His mother says, "We're leaving this thing here." He says, "We can't leave him after he saved us." She asks, "How will he board the plane in that outfit?" Pratik says to G1, "Can you dress like that person over there?" He looks at him and says, "Simple." He follows the person to the bathroom, knocks him out, and takes his clothes and face coverings. Then they go to the inspection device. The device beeps at his mouth. He opens his mouth, revealing a ring on his tongue. It beeps lower down, finding a piercing on his chest. It beeps lower down again, finding a piercing on his navel. He passes through and boards the plane. They reach India and stop a taxi. But another driver wants to harass Sonia, but he finds G1 behind him. He lifts him by the neck, ready to kill him. Sonia says, "Stop, he'll die." But he doesn't listen to her. But he's not alone. He has an entire army. He starts knocking them one by one, and everyone is amazed by his exceptional combat skills. But Sonia feels sorry for the guys and says, "Enough, don't touch any of them." So he starts hitting them without touching any of them. He grabs this ball and smashes them with it. He hits the ball and it hits Sonia's head, knocking her to the ground. At that moment, the thug grabs her. He saves her, and he starts taking them down one by one. Afterward, they go home, and G1 starts acting just like her husband used to. She begins to feel like her husband never died and grows more attached to the robot every day. She falls in love with the robot. Meanwhile, they install a new sign at the spot where Ra.One's cubes were buried. The cubes start charging from the sign and begin to reassemble. Ra.One comes back to life, but he's very weak because his power source, the heart, is with G1. Ra.One touches the sign, transforming into the person depicted on it. He then goes to the company boss, asking, "Where can I find Lucifer?" The boss replies, "Who's Lucifer? I don't know anyone by that name." Ra.One grabs his head, reads his thoughts, and learns that Lucifer is in Mumbai, India. Meanwhile, Sonia tells G1, "I love this house because it's where I married Shekhar and gave birth to Pratik." G1 replies, "But we can't stay here for long. I have Ra.One's heart, and if we destroy it, he'll keep chasing us. If we confront him, he can't die unless the heart is placed in his body. If that happens, our chance of winning will be just 1%. She says, "I can't leave this house." G1 tells her, "It's your decision. Take your time." She responds, "I've decided. I can't leave my home, no matter what. But promise me you'll protect Pratik and won't let that creature harm him." The next day is Pratik's birthday. Sonia tells G1, "This gift was something Shekhar wanted to give our son on his birthday, but he passed away before he could. Can you give it to him on his behalf?" G1 agrees, gives the gift to Pratik, and makes him very happy. At that moment, Ra.One is on his way to them, while G1 is dancing, oblivious to the danger. Ra.One crashes the party, and G1 realizes he's there. He tells Sonia, "Take Pratik and run immediately." Ra.One is here. She takes Pratik and flees. Pratik asks, "Where are we going, Mom?" She replies, "To a world where blood is allowed. Don't worry, he won't hurt you unless your protector brings back the heart he stole from me." G1 returns home to find it destroyed. Ra.One appears on the TV saying, "Welcome to my world." G1 asks, "Where are Sonia and Pratik?" Ra.One replies, "They were out of the game, but you brought them back in. I took a copy of Sonia's mind at the party and controlled her. You'll find her on the train that won't stop at any station. Lucifer is here with me, so it is your choice." G1 chases the train, jumping aboard amidst the passengers' astonishment. Sonia is in the engine room, sabotaging the train's controls. G1 reaches her, removes Ra.One's control from her, but the train is headed for disaster. It crashes into the station and keeps going, but G1 heroically stops it in its tracks. Sonia thanks him, saying, "Promise me you'll save my son." G1 assures her, "Nothing happened to him. I'll bring him back to you. I am G1, created to protect Pratik. I promise I'll return him to you." He charges up and goes toward Ra.One, saying, "I killed Lucifer." G1 replies, "As long as the heart isn't with you, you can't kill him. Here's your heart, so I can end you completely." He gives Ra.One the heart, and Pratik dons the game suit. Ra.One places the heart in his chest, regaining his full power. But G1 doesn't care. At first, G1 dominates the fight, but Ra.One counters, breaking G1's cubes and winning the first round. G1 tells Pratik, "Winning doesn't matter. What matters is enduring until we reach the third round with weapons." Ra.One pummels G1, smashing him against the walls, but G1 hangs on until the round ends. Pratik encourages G1, saying, "You can win," but he replies, "But I can't do it alone. I need your help." They both face Ra.One in the third round, armed with weapons. Ra.One targets G1, breaking his defenses, and tells Pratik, "It's your turn now." Pratik retorts, "The round isn't over yet," pulling out the heart from his suit and giving it to G1. G1 confronts Ra.One, who says, "I was created with the strength of 10 villains." Ra.One summons 10 clones, all identical, and asks, "Can you figure out which one is the real me?" G1 is confused, unable to identify the original. Pratik remembers his father's words, The devil always leaves a shadow. He tells G1, the real Ra.One is the one with a shadow. They aim and shoot him in the heart, destroying Ra.One completely. G1 sacrifices himself to ensure Ra.One's destruction. Pratik cries, asking, why did you do this? G1 replies, I had to die with Ra.One because if I stayed alive, here, Ra.One might come back again, saying to him, don't leave me. I don't want to feel the loss of my father again. He replies to him, your father didn't leave you. Your father is always with you. Both of them are extremely sad, with Pratik crying, and also G1 crying. Pratik takes G1's heart, and after months, the heart is connected to machines, and after many attempts, they succeed in bringing G1 back. And here the movie ends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.